Yo guys, what is going on and welcome back to another Psgl League race. We are back with the penultimate race of the season in Brazil, and once again, as you can see, myself and Mr. Stim starting from the back of the grid just to, make stuff more interesting, just so we're not leading from the front. But Ranger takes pole position, which I saw, and I don't think I actually scrolled up to see the rest of the grid. We start in 15th place as Friezo, and the referee Hun don't set a lap time in qualifying. So we will start in 15th position, 2 places ahead of Mr. Stim. As we leave for our formation lap now, we get hit in the back by the referee Hun, so already not a great start for us, and I think we get removed. Yes, we do. Removed from the formation lap, and there goes Mr. Stim, fighting his way through the field. But yeah, I'll be starting on the hard tyres for this race. I'm hoping to do a one-stop hards for about 20 laps, and then the mediums. I'm kind of counting on a safety car, just so it's a little less troublesome at the end with tyre wear. But if I need to, I will pit for soft tyres at the end, just so I can get to the end. But Mr. Stim could win the championship today. If he outscores me by 5 points, he will be enough points ahead into the final race to win his championship. So I really need to beat him. And that's kind of my priority. It's been my priority the final few races, just to beat Mr. Stim. Checking what tyres everyone is starting on. Mr. Stim is starting on the medium tyre, so straight away I knew he was most likely going for a 2-stop if he started on a medium tyre. But yeah, I was just hoping to do what I did in America, really. Just keep it clean the first lap and hopefully get quite high up the grid and just take away as many points from Mr. Stim as possible. Hoping that Mr. Stim has some bad luck and we could potentially win his championship in the final race of the season. But as the cars line up on the grid after the formation lap, it's race time. So here we go. We have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out and away we go, and we get off the grid. Well, a very decent start from us. We try and go on the outside of Ash, but the Toro Rosso ahead of us having an almighty collision. Not actually sure what happened to him. Everyone, by the looks of it, is getting taken out of turn 1. We try to go over the inside of Ash, and Mr. Stim brake checks us. And honestly, I thought he did actually brake check me. We break our wing, but I talked to him at the end of the race, and a car was lagging in front of him, so that's understandable. But we are 3 wide as we head towards turn 4. Who is going to get out ahead? I'm on the outside, so I just sort of let Ash through. I don't really want to fight anyone too much. I've got a broken wing, so it's going to be tough in sector 2. But we've still got the Renault of Zalan, who obviously got taken out before turn 1 on our outside. But I think he concedes. No, he holds it on the outside. And we lose the back end as he taps us. And that's not really anyone's fault. That was just because I had no front wing, or not enough front wing. I couldn't turn enough for the corner, and we are down to 17th place at the in the middle of lap 1. The referee Hun going for a spin in sector 2, and that promotes us to P16. But not a good start to the race for us. At the end of lap 1, coming into the pit, and I wasn't actually too sure what tyres to go on. I decided in the end to go for the mediums just to get them out of the way, and hopefully I'd be a little bit quicker and hopefully get back through the field. Looking back on it, I really should have gone for the hard tyres just so I could go for longer, but it's done now. We pit the medium tyre, and I knew I could take these tyres at least 16 laps. But we come out just behind Genetics, who also pit, and later on that lap we are right behind him as we come through sector 2. Throughout this race, I was just incredibly quick through sector 2. I had a lot more downforce than everyone else. You can see making a move up the inside of Genetics. He doesn't really fight us too much, and that promotes us to P14. But if you saw at the bottom there, I think you would have seen Mr. Stim retiring, which I didn't actually notice at this point during the race. I was focusing on just trying to get some quick laps and catch up to the field. But as we come down the main straight, if you look to your right, you'll see a manor in the wall. And that was Mr. Stim on lap 2. The safety car is deployed, but that is Mr. Stim out of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and that was, I'm not gonna lie, the best sight I could have seen after what happened to me on lap 1. That brings us right back into the championship. He is not going to gain any points on us this race, and from this point it was gain as many positions as possible and take as many points away from him as possible. But coming on to lap 6, the safety car is coming, and we've got Carwood in the lead of the race, bunching us up a lot. But you can see we're in P6, so we're already back in this race. We've got Zalan ahead of us, who obviously had that collision at turn 1. But on the restart, still yellow flags. Ranger, I'm guessing that's the glitch where he gets green flags. He has to give the positions back, luckily. But we remain in P6 on the restart. Are we going to get any positions? Down the straight, we are just not very quick. But Zalan is a very quick driver, as we saw in America, getting pole position on his debut. We're coming through the centre rest. We're trying to get as good a run as possible. Trying to challenge Zallan. We've got yellow flags ahead, so we can't overtake him if we tried. So it's looking like quite a clean restart, luckily. But coming on to lap 7, we've got Ella ahead of us. Zallan goes up the inside. I decide to follow him through as he forces him wide. So thank you very much. Moving up to 5th place. So we're sort of using the Toro Rosso to our advantage here. I needed to slitch him down the straight, otherwise I would have lost so much time. But I knew I had to make the most of these tyres. Obviously, they would wear out quicker than Zallan's. You can see ahead of us, we've got LFC, obviously making the most of that safety car. He's in 2nd place, but he's just not as quick to battle the cars around him. Luckily, he doesn't put up too much of a fight, but we go up the inside of Zallan's. I'm not really too sure. I'm not sure if he just let me through or got held up slightly. We're trying on the outside of LFC, try and go for the inside. We've got brilliant traction out of this corner throughout the race as well. You can see we're alongside LFC and we're going to try on the outside at the next corner. Can we get him under braking? Yes, we can. I don't think he fought too much. He knew we were quicker and thankfully lets us through. Move off into 2nd place as Carwood comes into the pit. And I think he actually disconnected for a moment and rejoined. But Lars takes the lead of the race. We sit in 2nd. But this is where it got a bit painful because Lars was just incredibly quick in a straight line. And I just found it incredibly difficult to overtake him. You can see with the slipstream and DRS, we're just not gaining enough to take, we're not gaining anything to take him as we come down to turn 4. But as you stay on board, you'll be able to see just how quick I was in Sector 2. I was pretty much pushing him through Sector 2. I don't know whether he was just, I think it was purely based on setup. You can see just how much he is holding me up. I mean, this is really annoying me because it proved that I was quicker on a part of the track, but I just couldn't get the overtake done. You can see looking at the inside, just hoping to pressure into a mistake, but it's just not happening. And I was kind of hoping, I was trying to focus on getting a good run out of the final corner, but it was really difficult for me. I just couldn't do it. Obviously, my tyres were starting to go at this point. And you can see just how quick Lars is in the straight line, but also Zallan, also with the straight line speed, is going to be challenging me if I don't pick up the pace. So that was a concern. But it looks like if I want to get past Lars, I'm going to have to do it in Sector 2 unless I can get him under strategy. Coming on to lap 13 in Sector 2 once again. Again, it's just a repeat of the last lap. You can see just how much quicker I am in Sector 2, but there's nowhere to overtake, or no easy place to overtake in Sector 2. We're trying to get a good exit out of this corner and try on the outside like we did with LFC, but we just can't do it. Run wide onto the curb, and Zallan takes advantage of that and moves up the inside. He takes P2 back, but actually gives us the inside line, and we go back up his inside into the final corner. He tries to get the car back onto the main straight. He's going to have the straight line speed, so I think he's going to do it. Do we have DRS on Lars? I don't think we do. Actually, yes, we do. So we're both going to have DRS down the straight, but he's already made the move stick, and with the straight line speed, there's nothing I can do. I am just a sitting duck, and he takes P2 from me. However, coming on to the next lap, I mean, you can see in the corners, we're managing to stay with the top 2 cars. But if you look ahead, Lars Gaiman runs wide onto the grass and absolutely smashes into the barrier. He is out from the lead of the race. So unlucky for him. I'm not entirely sure what happened. I think he just, I don't know if he lost focus or I don't know. But we move back into 2nd place. Zallan takes the lead of the race. And that is one less driver for me to worry about this race. We're coming on to lap 15, sat behind Zallan. He runs a little bit wide through turn 1. We will have the DRS to help us, but do we have enough straight line speed to take the Toro Rosso down towards turn 4? We've got Ranger behind us also. With the slipstream and DRS, we move to the inside, but Ranger goes to our inside as well, and we have to leave him room. And I don't know what happened here. He just didn't turn it. I don't know if he didn't turn it enough, or got understeer, or he just decided to push me off the track. But he takes 2nd place with a questionable move from him. And it was at this point in the race I realised my setup just wasn't a race setup. I didn't have enough straight line speed. But coming on to lap 17, Ranger, Zallan and myself all come into the pit at the same time. But Zallan and Ranger are teammates, so I was interested to see how this would play out. I think Ranger is going to get held up. We're going to go into the hard tyres and try and make it to the end. You can see Ranger gets held up ahead of us. I think I get held up slightly, just a bit, but Zallan hasn't gained too much, but this was a weird one. You can see he's ahead of me, but once he goes around this corner, he completely vanishes. And if you keep an eye on the top left, he just, I don't know what happens to him. He just disappears, and I move up to 2nd place, or 3rd as we come out of the pit. But that's a weird one. I have no explanation for that. We take 2nd place, or 3rd place even. That's a bit of a weird one. But coming on to lap 21, we are chasing down the Williams of Levi. Carwold is in the lead of the race. but I think he's got another pit stop to make. But you can see coming out of the center S, we have the slipstream, we have the traction, we have the DRS, and we're going to have the inside line for turn 4. Hopefully he won't turn in on us like he did in America, but we have the inside line and he doesn't. He lets us through. I think he knew I was quicker. But we move up to second place. Now can we chase down Car World for the race win in Brazil? Coming on to lap 26 onto the main straight, and Car World is going to pull into the pit for its final stop. And at this point in the race, I didn't actually realise this. I was too focused on just putting in good lap times, and I didn't realise that he actually came into the pit. So it took me a lap to realise I actually had the lead of the race. And midway through sector 2, this is when I actually figured out I was in the lead of the race. We've got Tyler Neo ahead of us, and he was a little bit of a nuisance, a little bit of a misunderstanding between us. I try and go on the outside, but he blocks me, and luckily he does let me through. But it cost me a little bit of time, but I think that was just a misunderstanding. There's no real damage done, so I wasn't too angry. But coming on to lap 34, I really had to save my tyres these final few laps because I'd been pushing. I don't really know why. I don't know. I decided to put it up to rich mix, and I was just really struggling come the end of the race. So the final 2 laps, Ranger was behind me. I think he was like 9 seconds behind me at this stage, but he was closing up incredibly quick. Somehow he was a lot better on his tyres and able to push because he picked the same lap as me. But I was just keeping it in lean mix throughout the entire final few laps, trying to just minimise my tyre wear, because if I got a puncture here, I would be incredibly upset. And coming on to the final lap, you can see my tyre wear very, very close to bursting that front right tyre. And obviously the final few corners, it's very easy to puncture that tyre. It's just a very, very long corner. It puts a lot of pressure on that tyre, so I really had to go easy in the second sector. Ranger was closing up to me, but I knew it was one thing to catch me and one thing to pass me, especially around this track. I knew if I had at least a 1 second gap out of the final corner, I'd be okay. But this is arguably one of the most stressful final laps I've ever had. I didn't know if my tyre was going to explode because in practice, my tyre had exploded at this stage and without the warning triangle. And it was very stressful. I knew if I'd punch my tyre, I'd lose the win and possibly even lose a podium because Carl was in third and absolutely flying on the medium tyre. But coming to the line for the final time, we're going to win the Brazilian Grand Prix from the back of the grid again. 2 race wins in a row. And more importantly, heading into the final race, we lead the championship by 5 points to Mr. Stim. So here is the full race classification. We take the win, Ranger in second, Carwold third, Zalan takes 4th, Ashbest 5th, LFC for Life in 6th, Dayu in 7th, Ella in 8th, Soj in 9th, and Tyler Neo takes the final point at the Brazilian Grand Prix. And there we see Mr. Stim retiring from the session. I mean, disappointing for him, but from a biased point of view, an incredibly good result for me. And here is the standings coming into the final race of the season. We are on 92 points. He is on 87. Which means if we get second place at the final race, if we just pull a Rosberg, we win the championship. So guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy, remember to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you guys for watching, and see ya.